Hi all, this is Anjali, and in this video I'll be discussing few important questions from the placement point of view. So when you are appearing for a campus placement, C is one of the very important languages regarding which you can be asked a few questions in your written exam. Off-campus placements, there are a few companies which ask question from C, like maybe Accenture or you have TCS, they can ask about it. But for off-campus, Java is more important in comparison to C. But for campus placements, it's very important. So be it campus or off-campus placement, you should prepare with the very basics of the language. Sometimes we overlook the very basics of the language and we don't focus much on them, but they seems to be very small thing, but they're really important when it comes to your interview, when it comes to your placement. So we'll be discussing all the different topics for these languages in the series. So this is the first video in the series. Later on, I'll be covering almost all the topics for C, like what are the various data types, flow control, pointers, arrays, how pointers are related to arrays, structures, functions, everything what can be asked in C, and then we'll be going for data structures and then Java. So to start with, this first video explains how we solve the questions regarding the declaration, definition, and initializing of variables. So as you can see, the first question here is, which of the following is initializing a variable? So we have these four statements. When we just write int a, this is declaration. We are just declaring the variable, and in C language, when this variable is declared, it would be having any value in it, which we call as a garbage value. So this is not initialization. Option B says float C is equal to 5.6. Now C is being declared here as a float. Along with that, you're getting a value in this. So this statement can be called as definition, or here it can be called as initializing the variable. So answer for this question is option B, where we put the value in the variable right at the time of declaring it. So when both declaration and definition is done together, it's called initializing the variable. C is not the correct option because here int a declares the variable, and after that 10 is assigned to a. It's not initialized because once a is created and later on you're putting 10 in a. So when it's done together, it's initialization. But if it's two different statements, then it's not initialization. So that's answer for question number 1, option B. Second question is very simple one. Which of the following special symbol is allowed in a variable name? So as we know, the variable names can be only alphabets and digits. No special symbol except underscore is allowed. So answer is option number D, which is underscore. Another important rules for naming a variable are that the first letter can be an underscore, can be an alphabet, but it cannot be a digit. And you can't have spaces in variable names. Keywords can't be used as variable names. So answer for question 2 is D, that's underscore. Question 3 is, how would you round off a value from 1.66 to 2.0? So we have these functions. This is because of the typing thing, these first letters are capital, but we don't have functions as capital in C language. So just assume that C is small, F is small, and in roundup R is small. So if we have these as small letters, so what would be the answer out of these options? Now, we don't have a roundup function in C, so there is no function named roundup in C, so it could not be our option C. Then we are left with option A and B. Ceil and floor are two methods which are there in math.h. So we have these two methods in math.h. What is the purpose of ceil and floor? Both are used to give integer values. Method ceil gives me the nearest higher integer. So if I have a value 1.66 which lies between two integers, that's 1 and 2. So nearest higher integer will be 2. So this is going to give me 2. But if I write floor 1.66, this will give me 1 because it gives me the nearest lower integer. So if I have a value 3.4, 3.4, if I use ceil 3.4, it will give me 4 because 3.4 lies between 3 and 4. So the higher integer is 4, that is ceil. The lower one is floor, so it is 3. So higher integer is ceil and the lower integer is floor. So in this example, I wanted 2 for 1.66. So we are going to use seal. So the correct answer would be option A for question number 3. Then question number 4 says, is there any difference between following declaration? Extern int fun. So since we have parenthesis over here after the function name, so that says that whatever we are declaring or defining is not a variable, it's a function. So when we have parenthesis, it means it's a function, it's a method. When you don't have the parenthesis, then it's a variable. Now he's asking what is the difference between the following declarations. Options are, there's no difference except extern says that it might be defined in some another file. B is both are identical. C is overriding each other. D is none of these. So option for this question are these four, and the correct answer is option A. Otherwise, there is no difference. Both means that fun is name of the function, int is the return type. The keyword extern here tells that this function need not to be defined in the same file where we have given this declaration. It might be defined in other file in the same project. So otherwise, both means the same, but extern means it could be globally defined. So option number A is the correct answer for question 4. By default, a real number is treated as a float, a double, a long double, or a far double. What do we mean by this question? What do we mean by the question is, if you write 7.5 anywhere in the program, what is the data type of that? Is it considered as a float, double, long double, or a far double? It's considered as a double. So double means in all the languages, whether you have C, C++, or Java, whenever I write anything in points, it's considered as double. To confirm that, we have an operator called size of in C and C++. So we can call size of, and in brackets, if you write the value 7.5 and you print it with the help of printf or cout, you would see that it prints 8. 8 means that 8 bytes are required by this value. 8 bytes are required by a double. So it proves that the data type taken by anything in points is a double. So whether you're using C, you're using C++, or you're using Java, whenever we write anything with decimal, by default, it's treated as a double. Then we have question 6. Which of the following is not user-defined data type? We have struct in option 1, long int in option 2, and option 3 is enum. So if you know about the data types, it's a very easy question. So we can clearly see that struct and enum are user-defined data types, and long int is a primitive data type. So the answer would be option number 2, that's option B for this question. So we have basically three categories in data types. We have primitive or basic data types in C, we have derived data types in C, and we have user-defined data types in C. So the first one is primitive, where we have int, char, float, and the related data types. In derived, we have arrays, strings, matrices, and pointers. And in user-defined, we have structures, enumerations, and unions. That's the user-defined data type. So out of this, option number 2, that means from here, option number B is the correct answer. Then if it is asked, is the following statement a declaration or a definition? Extern int A. This is a declaration. We're not giving a value for this. We're just telling the compiler that A is going to be a variable which can store an integer value, and it's extern, that means it can be referred as a global variable. So that is a declaration. We have not given any value, so it's not the definition. Identify which of the following are declarations. So we've just discussed that this one is a declaration. This one is not a declaration because this float tells that this is the return type of the function. This is name of the function. This is the parameter, and curly brackets signify that we have a body of the function over here. So since we have a body, that means it's a function definition, not the declaration. So 2 is not a declaration. But in case of this third question, double is the return type, POW is name of the function, double comma double are the two type of parameters. That means this function is going to receive two parameters. Each of them is going to be of type double. So this is again function declaration, since we have a semicolon here at the end of the function declaration. So out of these options, option number D is correct. That is 1 and 3 both are declarations, whereas option number 2 was a definition. Okay, next question is, when we mention the prototype of a function. Prototype of a function means telling that what should be the name of the function, what should be the return type, and how many and which type of parameters will be passed to a function. For example, we saw this one, this third option. Double is the return type, POW is the name. It says that we are going to pass two arguments. Each argument will be of type double. This is called declaration of the function, where we specify the prototype. So option number 2 is the correct answer for this. Which of the following statements should be used to obtain a remainder after dividing 3.14 by 2.1? Okay, so we know that this symbol, this percentage sign, is also called as remainder or modulus operator in most of the languages, be it C, C++, Java, Python, PHP. So this is used for remainder. But when we learn about this remainder operator, we also learn that this remainder operator can be used only with integers. You can't use it with floats. If you do that, compiler will give you an error for that. So I cannot use this with floats. So this statement is not allowed. It will generate a syntax error. Then we have two functions given over here, that is mod f and f mod, using which you can find the remainder of floats. But we don't have this function in math.h. The function we have is f mod. So option C is the correct answer. When I write f mod 3.14 comma 2.1, it gives me the answer as 1.04, because when we divide this by 2.1, it's not a proper division, so whatever is left is the remainder after the float division. So that's your option number C. So this is how we get questions regarding the declaration, definition, and basic usage of the basic data types in C language. So like we have discussed these questions, I'll be coming up with different topics and different questions related to those topics, and we would be discussing many more questions which might be asked in the placements on campus or off campus. So if you found this video useful, don't forget to click on the like button and do share so that this can reach to maximum people. And yes, do subscribe the channel so that you get the notifications whenever I upload more videos like this. Till then, keep watching, keep learning. Thank you.